The bartender comes up and he goes, look, we don't serve beers to bears in bars and Billings. And the bear gets angry and demands again to be served a beer. The bartender says, more forcefully, we don't serve beer to belligerent bears in bars and Billings. And the bear's really pissed off now. He says, if you don't serve me a beer, I'm going to eat that lady sitting at the end of the bar. And the bartender says, sorry, we don't serve beer to belligerent bully bears in bars and Billings. So the bear goes to the end of the bar, and as promised, he eats the woman, who happens to be Barbara Pelosi. He comes back to his seat and demands a beer. The bartender says, sorry, we don't serve beer to belligerent bully bears in bars and Billings who are on drugs. And the bear says, I am not on drugs. And the bartender says, well, you are now. That was a bar bitch you ate. This little boy and girl are playing in a sandbox, and the little boy has to go to take a pee. And he was told by his mommy to always be polite and don't talk about private matters in public. At first, he holds it in for a little while because he doesn't know what to say to the little girl so he can excuse himself. So then he remembered what his mom said at the restaurant when she excused herself from the table. So he turns to the little girl and he goes, would you excuse me? I have to go powder my nose. And then he leaped out of the sandbox and ran to the washroom. And when he came back, the little girl looked up and she goes, did you powder your nose? Yep, said the little boy, and he stepped back in the sandbox. And the little girl goes, well, gosh, you better go close your purse then, because your lipstick's hanging out. In an insane asylum, 3 patients are up for release. The doctor decides to give them an intelligence test. He turns to the first man and he says, what's 3 times 3? 274, says. The doctor turns to the second man. What's 3 times 3? Tuesday, said the second man. Well, he turns to the third man. It's your turn. What's 3 times 3? 9, says the third man real proudly. Man, that's great, the doctor said. How did you arrive at that? Well, it was simple, said the third man. I subtracted 274 from Tuesday. Oh, well, it's not funny if you don't get it. This guy sticks his head in a barber shop and he asks, how long before I can get a haircut? And the barber looks around the shop and he goes, it's going to be about 2 hours from now. So the guy leaves. A few days later, the same guy sticks his head in the door and he says, how long before I can get a haircut? The barber looks around, full of customers it is. He goes, well, it's going to be about 3 hours, so the guy leaves. A week later, the same guy sticks his head in and he says, how long before I can get a haircut? And the barber looks around, he goes, it's going to be about an hour and a half, and he leaves. So the barber is intrigued. By this time, he looks over at a friend and he goes, hey, Bill, follow that guy and see where he's going. A little while later, Bill comes back in the shop laughing hysterically. The barber says, Bill, where'd he go when he left here? Bill says, your house. All right, there's a shopping center for prospective wives looking for their husbands. It was opened where a woman can go choose from many men, and it was laid out in 5 floors. The men in increasing positive attributes as you go up each floor. The only rule was once you opened the door to a floor, you had to choose a man from that floor, and if you went up a floor, you couldn't go back down except to leave. So a couple of girlfriends go to this place to find some men for themselves. Well, the first floor, the door had a sign. It goes, these men have jobs and love kids. And the women read the sign. They go, wow. Well, that's better than I having jobs or not loving kids, but wonder what's up further. So they go on up. Second floor says, these men have high-paying jobs, love kids, and are extremely good looking. Said the girls. But I wonder what's further up. So the third floor. These men have high-paying jobs, are extremely good-looking, love kids, and help with the housework. Wow, says the woman. That's tempting, but there's more further up, so they go on up. Fourth floor says, these men have high-paying jobs. They love kids. They're extremely good-looking, help with the housework, and they have a really strong romantic streak. Oh, my God, they say, but just think what must be waiting us further on. So they go to the 5th floor. And the sign on the door says, this floor is just to prove women are impossible to please. Thank you for shopping. Have a nice day. I The men here like that too well. A man in a long, long line at the grocery store gets up to the register finally and realizes he forgot to get his condoms. So he asked the checkout girl if she could get some brought up to the register. And she goes, well, what size condoms? And he said, I really don't know. So she said, well, drop your pants. And then she reached over and grabbed hold of him and gets on the intercom. 1 box of large condoms, register 5. Well, the next man in line thought this was interesting, and like most of us, he was up for a cheap thrill. So when he got up there, he told the checker he forgot his condoms too, and he asked if she could have some brought to the register. She asked him what size. He said he didn't know, and she asked him to drop his pants. When he did, she gave him a quick feel, picked up the intercom, and said, 1 box of medium-sized condoms, register 5. Well, a few customers back says teen boy. He thought what he'd seen was way too cool, and he never had any sexual contact with a live female, so he thought, wow, here's my chance. So when he got to the register, he told the checker he needed some condoms, and when she asked what size, he said he didn't know. She asked him to drop his pants, and he did. She reached over the counter and gave him a quick squeeze, and then she picked up the intercom and said, clean up, register 5. Oh, that was terrible. I have some Chinese proverbs. Men who run behind car get exhausted. Men who run in front of car get tired. Foolish men give wife grand piano. Wise men give wife upright organ. Men who walk through airport. Men who scratch ass should not bite fingernail. Ha! Men who eat many prune get good run for money. That's terrible. Panties, not best thing on earth, but next to best thing on earth. A woman says, is there a problem, officer? The officer says, madam, you were speeding. Oh, I see. Can I see your license plate, please? Well, I would give it to you, but I don't have one. You don't have one? I lost it 4 times for drunk driving. I see. Can I see your vehicle registration papers, please? Well, no, I can't do that. Why not? Well, I stole this car. You stole it? Yes. And I killed and I hacked up the owner. You what? Yeah, his body parts are in plastic bags in the trunk if you want to see. The officer looks at the woman, backs away, and calls for backup. Within 5 minutes, 5 cop cars circle the car. A senior officer approaches the car, clasping his half-drawn gun. Madam, can you step out of your vehicle, please? She steps out. Is there a problem, sir? One of my officers told me you've stolen this car and have murdered the owner. Murdered the owner? Yes. Could you please open the trunk of your car, please? The woman opens the trunk, and there's nothing but an empty trunk. Is this your car, madam? Well, yeah, here's the registration papers. And that first officer's looking stunned. One of my officers claims you don't have a driver's license. She digs in her handbag and pulls out a clutch purse and hands it to the officer. He snaps open the clutch purse, sees the license, and looks puzzled. Thank you, madam. One of my officers told me you didn't have a license, that you stole the car, and that you murdered and hacked up the owner. Ha! The woman said. I bet the lying bastard told you I was speeding, too, didn't he? A husband and wife were resting on a beach, and they saw this girl with a travel bag. She would go up to people with boom boxes and other electronic devices to speak to them, and occasionally she'd hand them something and then walk off. She's probably selling drugs, said the woman. The man decided to go see him for himself. Well, the wife watched as her husband walked across the beach to the girl with a travel bag. Drugs? No, she's not. She's selling batteries. You don't mean... Yeah, he said. She sells seashells by the seashore. That's so stupid. My brother sent me one, and this is an ethnic joke. I hope that you all won't be offended by it, but I thought it was hilarious. Myers, a lonely widower, walking home along Delancey Street, wishing something wonderful would happen, and he passed the pet store and heard wah, wah in Yiddish. Was schmuck du ya, you outside standing like a schmuck, eh? Meyer rubbed his eyes and ears and he couldn't even believe it. The proprietor sprang out of the door and grabbed Meyer by the sleeve. Come in here, fella. Check out this parrot. So he stood in front of this African gray that cocked his little head and goes, Was, kannst reden Yiddish? Meyer turned excitedly. He speaks Yiddish? What'd you expect, Chinese maybe? Well, in a matter of moments, Meyer placed $500 down on the counter, carried the parrot and the cage away with him. All night long he talked with that parrot, in Yiddish. He told the parrot about his daddy, his adventures coming to America, how beautiful his mother was when she was a young bride, about the family, his years of work in the garment industry, about sunny Florida, and the parrot listened and commented and shared some walnuts with him. The parrot told him about living in the pet store and how he hated weekends, and they finally went to sleep. Well, the next morning, Meyer started saying his prayers, and the parrot demanded to know what he was doing. And when Meyer explained, the parrot wanted to pray too, so he handmade a miniature Yamulke for the parrot. And the parrot wanted to learn to read Hebrew, so he spent months teaching the parrot.
A Yamulke? Wait a minute. A Yamulke? Let's try Yarmulke.
Yarmulke. Before long, Meyer came to love and count on the parrot as a friend and Jew. He was not lonely anymore. But on Rosh Hashanah, Meyer rose, got dressed, and was about to leave when the parrot demanded to go with him. Meyer explained that a synagogue was not a place for a bird, but the parrot begged, and so he carried him on his shoulder. Well, it was quite a spectacle. Meyer was questioned by everyone, including the rabbi, and at first the rabbi wouldn't let the bird in the building on any of the high holy days, but he finally convinced him to let him in this one time, swearing that this parrot would pray. Wagers were made with Meyer. Thousands of dollars were bet, even odds that the parrot could not pray, couldn't speak Yiddish or Hebrew. All eyes were on the two of them during the whole service, and that parrot was perched on Meyer's shoulder as one prayer and then a song passed. Not a peep from the bird. Well, he got so annoyed he started slapping at his shoulder and mumbling, "Pray, pray, pray," and the bird wouldn't say anything. "Pray, parrot, you can pray, do it now, everybody's looking at you," and the parrot wouldn't say anything. Well, after the services, Meyer realized he owed the whole synagogue, all his buddies, the rabbi, over $4,000, and he was really disgusted. He wouldn't say a word all the way home. Finally, several blocks from the temple, the bird started singing this old Yiddish song and was happy as a lark. And Meyer stopped and looked at him. "You miserable bird, you cost me over $4,000, and why? After I taught you the morning prayers, I taught you to read Hebrew, the Torah, after you begged me to bring you to synagogue on Rosh Hashanah, why? Why did you do this to me?" "Ah, don't be a schmuck. Think of the odds on Yom Kippur." I guess you had to be Jewish to get that one. I don't know. All right, these are Women Have All the Answers. I don't think I have another comedian here. Thank you, February. What should you do if you see your husband rolling around in pain on the ground? Shoot him again. You know why little boys whine? Because they're practicing to be men. You know how many men it takes to screw in a light bulb? One. He just holds it up there and waits for the whole world to revolve around him. Or maybe three. One to screw in the bulb and two to listen to him brag about the screwing part. What do you call a handcuffed man? Trustworthy. What's it mean when a man's in your bed gasping for breath and calling your name? You didn't hold the pillow down long enough. You know why it takes 10 million sperm to fertilize one egg? Not one of them will stop to ask for directions. You know why the female black widow spiders kill the males after mating? They want to stop the snoring before it starts. How does a man keep his youth? He gives her lots of money, furs, and diamonds. You know how to keep your husband from reading your email? Change the name on the folder. Put instruction manuals. Anybody here got a joke to tell? Is that Glisa
I
typing
do.
one?
I do.
Oh, Fiddler?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. What does a man say when Wyvern stops telling jokes?
Thank God. What?
Why did Wyvern stop telling jokes?
A man at a lumberyard accidentally shears his fingers off. So he runs to the emergency room, and the doctor says, "Give me the fingers. I'll see what I can do." And the man says, I don't have the fingers. And the doctor's like, "What do you mean you haven't got the fingers? We could have done microsurgery. I could have put them back on. Why on earth didn't you bring the fingers?" And the guy goes, "Well, I couldn't pick them up." Duh. The other day I saw this man with wooden legs and real feet.
Oh,
well.
my God. Right, I got another one for you.
All right.
What did the farmer say when he lost his tractor?
Oh. I give up.
Where's my tractor?
A doctor visits a patient lying in a hospital ward. "I'm sorry," the doctor says, "but I have some good news and bad news." "Don't hold back," says the man. "Tell me the bad news." And the doctor says, "Your illness was worse than we thought. We had to amputate both your legs." And the man's like, "Well, what's the good news?" And the doctor says, "Well, the man in the next bed would like your slippers." Oh, that's horrible. I spilled spot remover on my dog. Now he's gone. A dog goes to a telegraph office and he dictates a message. "Woof, woof, 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 woof." The operator reads it back. And then he says, "We charge per 10 words and you could have an extra woof for free." "Oh, gosh, no thanks," says the dog. "That would sound really silly." A mailman meets a boy and a huge dog. "Does your dog bite?" "No," says the boy. And the dog bites the mailman's leg. "You said he didn't bite," said the mailman. "Well, that's not my dang dog," said the boy. A dog goes in a grocery store with a basket in his mouth. In the basket, there's a list and a pocketbook. The grocer reads the list, puts the goods requested in the basket, takes some money out of the purse, and puts back the change, and the dog runs home. This happens for months every week, and the grocer's really impressed by the animal's intelligence and dedication to the task. And one day, he decides to follow the animal home and see if the owner would sell it. Well, the dog leads the grocer to a rundown house. He puts the basket on the doorstep and rings the bell with his nose. This old woman opens the door and starts hitting the dog with a stick. "Stop it," said the grocer. "What are you doing? That's the most intelligent dog I've ever seen in my life." "Intelligent my ass," said the old woman. "That's the third time this week he's forgotten his damn keys." The headmistress of a girls' school asked the local minister to give her pupils a talk on Christianity and sex. And the minister's happy to do so, but he doesn't want to upset his prudish wife. So he tells her that he's going to be giving the girls a talk about sailing. Well, a week later, the headmistress meets the minister's wife in the street and says what a good talk her husband gave. "Well, I can't imagine it was that good," said the wife. "He's only ever done it twice. First time he was sick, and the second time his hat blew off." Oh, if you laugh at your own jokes, at least you get them. A teacher poses the problem to the class. "Hey, suppose there were a dozen sheep and 6 of them jumped over a fence. How many would be left?" "None," said little Norman. "None," said the teacher. "Norman, you don't know your arithmetic." And Norman says, "You don't know your sheep. When one goes, they all go." Well, that wasn't very good. Teacher walks up to a child in woodworking class and says, "What are you making?" "Well, it's a portable." "A portable what?" said the teacher. "I don't know. So far, I just only made the handle of it." A university professor is in the habit of starting his classes with sexist jokes. Pretty soon his female students are sick of it, so they want to teach him a lesson. They all agree they're going to get up and walk out of class the next time he starts telling one of his dirty stories. Well, the professor gets wind of the plan, and he decides to catch him out. At his next class, he starts his lecture by saying, "You know, I heard that they're so short of whores in China, they're having to ship them in from abroad." And all the female students stand up and start to leave. "Hey, not so fast, ladies. The boat doesn't come in till tomorrow." Anybody else here got a joke? All right, a man walks in a cafe and he asks for a hot chili. The waitress says, "The woman next to you got the last bowl." He looks over and he sees this woman finish her meal, but the chili bowl's full. "Hey, are you going to eat that?" "No, help yourself," she says, and the man starts eating it. He gets halfway through the chili and he sees a dead mouse and he throws up into the bowl. The woman goes, "Yeah, that's about as far as I got, too." Oh, God, that's awful. A mother's giving her small son, Willie. He's getting him ready to go to a party, and she goes, "Willie, if you're offered a second piece of cake by any grown-up and refuse it, do it like your father would, real politely." So later, Willie comes back, and she says, "Did you behave like I told you?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, Mom. When I was offered more cake, I just said like Daddy. I said, 'Christ, no, get that crap out of my sight.'" Hey, Fader, All right, well, I guess that if we don't have any more comedians, we're going to have an early evening here tonight. And I'm so sorry, but I think there were some misunderstandings about tonight and October 3rd when I will not be here.
Well, then they wouldn't be here either.
No, I think
Hey, you
I
were
think
brave to try and hold up the whole half hour anyhow. Good for
You did
you,
great.
you know?
Do you want the
Oh.
evolution of
I mean,
marriage?
you were fun. You
Arabella.
listen. You were funnier than we were. So there you go.
Carabella just passed me one that I need to tell before I go because Carabella sent me a note card. I think I told this Tuesday, though. I did, Carabella. You missed it if you weren't there. But a man boarded an airplane. He took his seat, and as he settled in, he glanced up and he saw this gorgeous woman boarding the plane. And she was going right toward his seat, and she took the seat right next to his. Well, he goes, "Business or pleasure?" And she turned and smiled and goes, "Business. I'm going to the annual Nymphomaniacs of America convention in Boston." He swallowed real hard. Wow, here's this gorgeous woman he'd never seen before sitting next to him. She's going to a nymphomaniac convention. Whoa. So he tries to keep his composure, and he goes, "Well, what's your business at the convention?" And she says, "Oh, I'm a lecturer. I use information I've learned from my personal experiences to debunk some of the popular myths about sexuality." "Oh, wow, really? And what kind of myths are there?" "Well," she said, "one popular myth is the African American men are the most well endowed of all men, when in fact, the Native American Indian who's most likely to possess that trait. And another popular myth is that the Frenchmen are the best lovers, when actually Mexican descent, men of Mexican descent are the best. And I've also discovered that the lover with absolutely the best stamina is a Southern redneck." And suddenly she's uncomfortable and she's blushing. She's like, "Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't really be discussing all this with you. I don't even know your name." And the guy goes, Tonto Gonzalez, but my friends call me Bubba." That is a good one. I did tell that Tuesday. All right, folks, I'm sorry we have to end this early tonight, but I have no support this week. And hopefully we'll see you Tuesday at Lauren's. Don't forget, there's no comics showed up. At 6 o'clock, Second Life time, it's Under the Sea with Demolition Derby. If anybody wants a landmark, I will give it to you. Let me find it. Demo Derby. Racers track. The car's $100. $20 to get in the pot. And you can win Linden, and it's a lot of fun. You don't have to dress up if you don't want. I'm gonna find my landmarks. Whoa.
Love your outfit, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I'm all ready for Under the Oceans.
Yeah, send those out, sis. Good job tonight.
Well, it's kind of mediocre. I don't know what to laugh. All right, anybody that wants one, I am me, please, because I don't know who wants one. And I will give you a landmark.
Woot woot. Hey, sis. Hey, sis. Hey, Bach. Hey, everybody.
Hello, Carabella, Sissy.
Love you. Awesome job.
Thank you, sweetie. I love you too. Oh shit. I just deleted something I needed. Oh my lord. Nobody I am me. Nobody I am me wanting one. Landmark. All right, we have a regular group. I think Catboy said he'd be at this race, so I don't know what happened.